Be in Matthew chapter 16 today, following Randy's lesson on chapter 15. All right, so as we will read here shortly in the beginning of chapter 16, it talks about the Pharisees and the Sadducees. So let me give you a little bit of a background of who these people were, okay? We learned earlier in chapter 15, even maybe 14, where he's grilling the Pharisees. The Pharisees are big keepers of law, right? He's grilling them on the law that they're forgetting the spirit of. The Sadducees are basically the polar opposite. They had beef with each other constantly, kind of like we see politics today. You have the left and the right. They beef constantly. But they found a common enemy, which was, thank you, Jesus. So the Pharisees pushed the law of the Torah with a holier than thou. If I can do all these things correctly to the T and enforce it on people, then I will be granted a spot in heaven by following the law. But they forget the spirit of the law, which Jesus was talking about was the forgiveness and the grace, the spirit of it. You're not meant to keep all of them to the T. That's where grace falls in. Whereas the Sadducees didn't believe in the enforcement of the laws, but they also didn't believe in the spirit. So they have the same problem, but different ways of going about it. And that's just the cut dry portion of that. So in Matthew chapter 16, we'll read 1 through 4 here. It says, "And the Pharisees and Sadducees came and to test them. They asked him to show them a sign from heaven. He answered them, 'When it is evening, you say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, it will be stormy today, for the sky is red and threatening. You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of the times. An evil and adulterous generation seeks for a sign, but no sign will be given except for the sign of Jonah.'" Does anyone remember what the sign of Jonah was? I believe it was like in 8 days or 18 days, he said, Judah will fall. Or I forget the name of the city. He said, the city will fall in 8 days. This is the sign. This is kind of what he's slapping them with. He said, you could tell, you could predict the weather by reading the sky, but you can't interpret what I'm giving you. You can't interpret the law that you're reading about and the spirit of it. So he continues to grill them on the fact that they're increasingly in worse times, but they're lacking in the spirit of what they're trying to push. And this will become evident here in a minute. So we'll go ahead and go 5 through 12. And it said, "When the disciples reached the other side, they had forgotten to bring bread. Jesus said to them, 'Watch and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees.'" So pay attention to their yeast. "And they began discussing it to themselves, saying, 'We brought no bread.' But Jesus, aware of this, said, 'O you of little faith, why are you discussing amongst yourselves the fact that you have no bread? Did you not perceive? Do you not remember the 5 loaves for the 5,000 and how many baskets you gathered? Or the 7 loaves for the 4,000 and how many baskets you gathered? How is it that you fail to understand that I did not speak about bread? Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees.' Then they understood he did not tell them to beware of the leaven and the bread, but of the teaching of the Pharisees and Sadducees." So he's putting it in front of them and he's hitting them with another parable per se, like a real short. He says, beware of these guys. Beware of their leavening. Beware of their yeast. And they're thinking about bread. They're thinking about present time. They're not thinking about what's going on right now. Or they're more worried about what's going on right now instead of what they should be worrying about that he's talking about. It's like, well, we don't have any bread. Well, you just seen me enact making all these loaves of bread through the grace of God to feed all these people, but yet you're still worried about no bread. The one thing you don't have to worry about, you're worrying about, even though you have no reason to worry about it. Instead of hearing what I said and taking that as a teaching moment, why would I say anything about literally the yeast of these people? I just grilled them on the law, but you're still taking it literal. Have you no faith? Ye of little faith, it says. So, talking about the leavening. They're refusing to read between the lines. So what did he mean by beware of the yeast? Can anybody tell me? I'll wait or I'll pick somebody. Can anybody tell me what they think it means? Jace, what do you think it means?
That's just an ingredient for bread.
Okay, so what does yeast do for bread? Right. So if he's talking about beware of the yeast, beware of the leavening of the Pharisees and Sadducees, he's talking about their teachings, right? That's what he just said here. He said, then they understood that he did not tell them to beware of the leavening of the bread, but of the teaching of the Pharisees.
Bacteria.
There you go.
Bacteria.
So if you have bad yeast, what doesn't happen in bread? It won't puff up. It won't grow. So right here, he's talking, beware of these people. Beware of their teachings. Because you might not grow. Like the teachings I'm trying to show you here are going to help you grow. But if you're taking from the law or the lack of law of do whatever, you won't grow. The closer in faith you are, I mean, they're reading the Torah. Like, it's not like nobody had the Torah other than the Pharisees and the Sadducees. That's not how that worked. The Torah being their Bible at that point. The collection of writings from the Old Testament, the Torah. Okay, I should have went a little closer on that. But he's telling them, like I'm telling you here, listen to your Father your Father in heaven, not the people who are trying to tell you how to be like your Father in heaven. The holier than thou that say, well, if I can do this many things, then I'll have earned my spot. You're not saved by works. You're saved by faith. You're saved by grace. That's what I'm gonna get a little more into that here in a minute. So we'll go. Jesus comes to them and he says, now when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, who do people say the Son of Man is? Who do you think I am? And they said, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. He said to them, but who do you say I am? Aimed directly at the disciples. Who do you say I am? Not who they say I am. Who do you say I am? Big piece here. Little words, big piece. Who do you say that I am? And he says, Simon Peter replied, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered him. He said, blessed are you, Simon Bar Jonah, or Simon, son of Jonah. For flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I tell you, you are Peter. And on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth, you will be loosed in heaven. So bear with me. This is a little bit here. I got quite a bit. So, first, Peter says, "You are I am. You are the Son of Man. You are the Christ." Nobody told him this. This is him witnessing Acts and having that faith that you are who you say you are. Henceforth, I am. Okay? So that's the kind of faith that he's looking for in that. You have the choice to accept him. Like I've preached a bunch on the last few sermons, like Jesus made it very obvious that you have a choice. If he has the power to resurrect the dead, he has the power to heal anyone by a simple word, not even a touch. A woman touching the drape of his garment and is healed. How can he not just simply speak a word and make you believe that he is who he says he is? Why could he not have wrote it plainly here? Why could he not have spoke it plainly for it to be recorded that he is who he says he is? And there's no deniable question about it. He wants you to have the choice to love him. That's why he asked, "Who do they say I am?" And they give him a bunch of answers. Well, they say you're this person, or they say you're this person, or maybe you're just some prophet. But you've seen God work in your life, so who do you say he is? This is present. Who do you say Jesus is? Does he exist? Did he exist? A lot of signs point to yes. And I'm leaning on that faith. I've seen God work in my life. I've heard him speak to me. Maybe not in a physical sense, but I know when he's telling me to do something. There's a reason I'm standing here before you and not just sitting in a pew on Sunday. There's a reason I'm on the praise team and not just sitting in a pew. I don't just want to do this stuff. Granted, I am overjoyed and honored to do so for him because he called me to do it. I feel like he gave me the gift to stand here before you and talk about God. Y'all know just about as much as I do, but we're learning together. But yet he felt it was necessary for me to have this conversation because I have that all-out faith, bless you, that he is who he says he is. And he has just as much power over my life as he says he does. As he speaks of here. Granted, we have to learn and we have to have that trust in him that he is going to do what he says he's going to do. Or he's going to be what he says he is. That's faith. If it says that he healed all these people and he fed all these people and he resurrected these many people, I believe that. If he said he died and resurrected for my sins, by God, I'm standing here today. If that don't say something, if y'all knew my past, you'd be just as amazed. Like, I don't know y'all as well as I know myself, but there's a reason for that. You know? You waking up every day is a blessing. You having air in your lungs is a blessing. The fact that you merely exist is nothing short of an act of God. And I'm rambling. I'm in my head about some stuff today, but y'all bear with me. So we're going to go. So next, he named Simon Peter. Okay? This holds ground. Peter in Greek is Petros. Can anyone tell me what that means? I'll give you a hint. It's literally in the next few words. What does Petros mean? Upon this, it's right there on the tip of your tongue. I've seen it. Upon this rock, I will build my church. Petros means a rock or cliff. Okay? So he's literally telling Peter that you are the rock on which I will build my church. He's telling him that you have the authority over my church. You have the faith to lead these people. You have the faith to be the governor that the Pharisees and the Sadducees couldn't be, in which he talks about here in just a minute. And he's talking about, where's it at? He says, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind here on earth shall be bound, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. So this may be a little confusing. It was for me. So these mean different things in Greek. These mean different things in other translations. So to bind something is to make it, how did I put it? It's so whatever he creates in the churches, whatever he brings and lays on these people's hearts to do, if he binds them to do a certain thing, like, for instance, don't eat this, don't do this, certain quarries, like he's applying the grace to the laws that are already here. Whatever he binds to said law is bound and shall be bound in heaven. Whatever he looses will also be loosed in heaven. Like here, pretty directly, you'll hear about Peter eating, I think it was pork or something like that. They didn't want, like in the Old Testament, you weren't supposed to eat anything with a hoofed or split-toed animal. You weren't supposed to eat that. But he was invited to some get-together. They were cooking. He was hungry, and they fed him. But I don't remember the exact stipulations. But in that same thing, that's something that he could loose. He's giving him the authority in his church to show that grace and cut the unnecessary bullcrap. What I took from it anyways. Randy might have a different opinion on that, but that's what I took from it. So anything that he sees needs to be bound of the law, he has the right to be that grace-filled governor. On this rock I will build my church. He is the sole proprietor to the church. He'll go on to do many things for the church, to preach the gospel and to speak to all these people, and eventually be hung upside down, to be crucified the same way that Jesus was, only upside down, because he wasn't worthy. He had that faith that I'm not him. He gave me all this authority, but I'm still not him. I don't deserve to die the way he died. He had that much faith. All right, so 21 through 23. It's a short span of verses. Who wants it? I will pick. I'm not shy. Who's got a Bible open? Raise your hand. We get it, Rigo.
From that time forth began Jesus to shew unto his disciples how that he must go into Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and be raised again the third day. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee. But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan. You are an offense unto me, Lord. Thee sourest not the things that be of God, but that be of men.
Okay, so here, Jesus tells the disciples of what's to come. He said, I will die and I will resurrect 3 days later. But in that moment, the disciples are thinking about present time. We need you now. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of problems over the nations, but we need you right now. So Peter jumps forward and says, I can't let that happen. I won't let that happen. Jesus in turn tells him, get behind me, because you don't have the thoughts that God has. You don't have the future in mind. You're not seeing God's plan. You're only seeing your plan. So this is where I'm going to get into. All too often, we see ourselves fixated on current problems. All too often, we see ourselves looking at things and going, how am I going to fix this? How am I going to take care of so-and-so? How am I going to take care of this problem that's moving forward in my life right now? Be it good or bad, you're looking at it all. How are you thinking? Instead, we fail to remember that God has a plan for everything. We're not just here because we're here. Okay? Every step you've taken to get to this building today, He knew you were going to take it. So that's what He's getting at here. And He says, you don't have, said, you are not setting your mind on things of God, but on things of man. The flesh, you're wrapped up in it. This is the problems that you have right now, but you're not thinking about what's to come. You have to trust now that God has as much power in your life as He says He does. As you believe Him to, you have to believe that He has power over your life. That every step you take is by Him. The fact that you wake up every morning. The fact that you go to sleep every night. The fact that you have food to eat. School clothes to wear. A school to go to. You have a church building to walk into. This is all of God's plan. If it weren't, you wouldn't be doing any of these things. But we fall deeper and deeper into that thought because we're human. That I have to study this. And then you have things like depression. You have things like anxiety. You have just all-out hate, anger, pride. It could be a good thing too. Pride. You could be really happy that you did something. But God willed you to do it. He gave you the ability to do it. Why not give Him grace? This is where you have to remember that the enemy is lurking in every corner. If you feel, let me back up. God doesn't give you these feelings of grief. He may allow you to experience them so you get closer to Him, but He doesn't give them to you. He doesn't give you these feelings of depression. He may allow you to feel them so you get closer to Him, but He does not give them to you. God is love, but He is just. He wants you to succeed, and He wants you to feel the things that bring you closer to Him. Like I said, I absolutely hate preaching out of Job, but look at Job. He allowed the enemy to take everything from him, but he continued to praise God, and his life turned around tenfold. That may not be the picture that a lot of people get from Job, but as a quick screen over, He has just as much power in your life now over all your feelings that you could put to the forefront of your brain and just give it to God. You have to remember to let go and to let God. Let Him take care of the problems that you have. I know things are scary and things are angering. People suck. Work sucks. School sucks. It's not fun. But you're allowed to have these problems to bring you closer to God. Because fear is a liar with a forked tongue. There's no reason that fear should rule you more than the hope that Jesus is giving you on a daily basis. There's no reason. It's just having that faith and moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, hello.
Now you know how I feel when I get into a bathroom. Sorry.
You're all right. Did I jump over something? Okay. 24 through 28. Kane, let me hear it.
If anyone would come back to me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life will find it. What good will it be for a man tell you the truth, some who are standing here will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom.
Okay. Thank you. So the first part, I've got this broke down into three to four parts. It said the first part of this scripture says, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take upon his cross and follow me. Anyone who comes after me, deny your flesh. Deny the things of this world. Pick up your cross and do as I ask you to do. Carry the weight. It's not easy being a Christian. And I've said that a ton. It's not easy. The closer you get to God, the more problems you have because the more dangerous you are. The enemy hates to see you win. It's just how it is. Now, the second part of this it's telling us that we don't need validation from anyone other than Jesus himself. He says, for whoever would save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or shall a man give return for his soul? For the Son of Man is going to come with his angels into glory. I lost my place. Of his Father. And then he will repay each person according to what he has done. You don't need validation from others. The only person you need validation from is Jesus, from your Lord. He allows you to make mistakes. He allows you to feel this pain so you get closer to him and understand him more. He's there to comfort you, but you also understand the enemy more. You start to see the people with forked tongues. You start to see the people that are an infestation, the people who are just a cancer that continuously grows, causes problems. You start to see the real in people. The wheat starts growing up with the weeds, and you start to see whether they're gold or whether they're black. You start to realize what he's asking you to do. And in that, you understand that you don't need validation from the people who are acting like a cancer. You don't need validation from the people who are acting like a Christian. The only person you need validation from is your Father who is in heaven. Because he gives you everything you need. You can go beg on the street. It isn't going to make you rich. That's validation. You can stand on a street corner playing a guitar and singing at the top of your lungs, and I guarantee you'll make a lot more working for the glory of God than you ever will busking on a street. You don't need validation from others. And that's another thing. Influencers. You can listen to every influencer on the planet. Be it good or bad, every influencer on the planet. You could follow in their exact footsteps. But if you don't have the faith to back up what you're doing nothing but trying to be saved by works. That's not how it works. You're saved by faith in the grace of God that he paid for you. The believing that he died for your sins and his blood washed you clean. You don't get into heaven because you gave a homeless person $5 on a random Tuesday. That's not how it works. So I kind of just hit that one. That's the third point. So the last point is homework. The last piece here, I'm sure Michael will enjoy this quite a bit. He said, truly I say to you, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming into his kingdom. All the disciples are standing here. So he's basically saying, because look where we're at. Has Jesus come back? Lord, I hope not, because I'm still standing here. So that would beg the question that there is still someone alive. Someone has lived all this time. I have an opinion. I figured Micah would like this one. Yeah. You read about most of the disciples being put to death. Most of them. There's one they tried to put to death, and he wrote the book of Revelation. Does anyone remember who that was? That was John.
Yeah, I knew that.
Then why didn't you say it?
Because I was afraid it's going to be wrong, Richard.
There's no wrong answers. There's stupid answers, but there's no wrong answers. I love you either way. So I believe that John is still here today. And I believe he's the one that has not tasted death. Because they tried to boil him in oil, and he did not die. They sent him to Patmos for many, 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 many years, and he never died. Granted, I don't remember. It just said that whenever he came back to mainland, he was a leader of a church. I don't remember the name of the church. But do some research. Do it yourself. And tell me what you think. There's your homework for the day. If there was any of the disciples that would still be alive today, who is it going to be? You can figure out who died, how they died, and just narrow it down. Micah, do you have any comments? Randy, any comments?
I've always read that passage differently.
Well, come up here so I can hear it. We'll put it on the mic. That is chapter 16, verse 28.
I probably attributed it to like a spiritual death. I don't know. I can't remember.
The word in Greek goes to eat or to experience. The word taste.
You want to experience death before the second coming of Christ.
Well, no, how would I put it? Trying to find the words. Like when you die, like tasting death would be like more attributed to like going to hell or whatever. And my brain how it's working at the moment.
I don't know.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you.
Like, trying to find the way to put it in words.